Hello everyone and welcome back to GodSaw's Turnbuckle. We are back with some more predictions. It is going to be kind of a double whammy for this one. We do have two shows going on Saturday. We have the WWE NXT AAA show Worlds Collide going on in the afternoon, and then in the evening you will have Money in the Bank. I am going to go ahead and do predictions, a very rather quick set of predictions for Worlds Collide here, because one, I'm not super familiar with too many people on the show in terms of from the AAA side. It has been quite some time since I've watched any AAA wrestling or anything like that. Like, names that do pop into mind is Psycho Clown, Pagano, and Aerostar. They're people I'm kind of familiar with at this moment. So I will kind of do rapid fire predictions for that one. First of all, in the first six-man tag with the LWO, Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and I am absolutely awful with names for the third one, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I'll have to work on that at a different work on getting these names down correctly. But I do have the LWO picking up the victory on that one. Then we do have Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Humberto, and Angel will be in another six-man tag against El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. I'm going to go with Dr. Wagner Jr., actually, that's a completely different person there. Completely different one. But El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown, I will go with them picking up the victory in that one. Then we do also have Stephanie Valkeria and Lola Bison tag team action against again, awful with names. It's Daly and I cannot pronounce the last one. I do apologize for that. I'm, again, awful with names, but for purposes of predictions here, I'm going to go with Stephanie Valkeria and Lola Vice on that one. And then we do have that fatal four-way for the North American title with Ethan Page, Javon Evans, Ray Phoenix, and Laredo Kid. I'm going to go with Ethan Page picking up the victory on that one. I don't see them necessarily taking that title off them so quickly, though maybe they do have something surprising for the show. I'm not 100% certain on that. And then we have El Hijo del Vikingo defending the AAA Mega Championship against Chad Gable. I'm going to go with Vikingo on this one. I can't imagine them having him take it off of Alberto El Patron so quickly, and only to lose it to Chad Gable, WWE guy. I don't necessarily see that being the case, so I'm going to go with Vikingo to win that one. I wish I knew a little bit more about those, but I don't necessarily know too much with that, so I did want to kind of do those a little bit more rapid fire pace for the Worlds Collide event. And then next we will be going into Money in the Bank. Currently we do have a 4-match card at this point in time, and we may get a 5th match. I don't know. It really depends on how long they're going to be going with the actual Money in the Bank matches themselves, the ladder matches. Depending on how long those go, they may add a 5th match, they may not. Maybe there's like another segment somewhere in there. I don't necessarily know. But typically a WWE show goes like 3.5 hours for the PLEs, so it's really hard to say. But we're going to go ahead and get this started off with the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. It will be Lyra Valkeria going up against Becky Lynch. Again, this feud's been really good, and I do like what they've been doing with Lyra on this one, just because it definitely is bringing another dimension to her character with being paired up with Becky Lynch. You just see a more aggressive side from Lyra. It's been really good. Now, like, the stipulation itself is kind of an interesting one, and it doesn't seem like it actually means much of anything, but Becky kind of made it mean something on Monday night with her promo. So if Lyra wins, Becky Lynch can no longer go for the Women's Intercontinental title. If Becky wins, Lyra has to raise Becky Lynch's hand in victory. And the thing that made it more interesting is like, I'm going to force you to raise my hand in victory, the hand that is going to hold you down. I think it was a really nice touch for the promo. I have actually been kind of, digging this feud. It's been really good. The match at Backlash was really good as well. I kind of expect this one to be really really good to go along with it. I am going to go with Becky Lynch to pick up the victory on this one because I do feel like they will be putting that Women's Intercontinental title on her. I did think that back at Backlash as well, but that did not end up happening. But I do see it happening here. So I'm going to go with Becky Lynch. And up next, it will be tag team action. It will be Jey Uso teaming up with Cody Rhodes, going up against John Cena and Logan Paul. And, this is going to be a good match, honestly. It's going to be interesting to see who actually takes the pinfall here, because you have the aspect of John Cena being in the final year of his career, and, and more than likely he doesn't get pinned before losing the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes is just coming back after being out since WrestleMania. Jey Uso has to defend the world title just 2 days later at Raw. So do you pin him in this particular match? Maybe Gunther gets involved or something in that sense. It's really hard to say with this. I do feel like Logan Paul is probably the person who does get pinned in this one, though. So I am going to be going with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes picking up the victory here. Also kind of depends on what's going on, or like when particular matches happen. Do we get a tease of a Money in the Bank cash in here or not? It's hard to really say. My prediction on that will be that you see some type of Money in the Bank cash in on Monday night on the Raw versus Money in the Bank. So just for purposes of the victory here, I'm gonna go with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. I see it more likely that they win than maybe Cena and Logan winning. But we'll see how that ends up playing out, because technically really it could go either way. But I'm just going to go with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. And up next, we have the first of two Money in the Bank ladder matches. We will be going with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match on this one. It's going to be Stephanie Valkeria going up against Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Julia. Now, honestly, in terms of the actual potential winner of this match, I could see technically any one of these 6 women winning the match itself. Obviously, you have the big star power in the terms of Rhea Ripley. She's mega over, probably in terms of most over in terms of the babyface side at this point in time. But you also have this nice little thing with having 3 different people who were just recently in NXT earlier this year being in this match with Julia, Valkeria, and Roxanne Perez. Also, honestly, you can go to the really good work that Naomi has been doing with her character. This whole proceed with caution thing that she's been doing has been actually really good. And there's a very good potential for them putting that contract on her as well. Alexa Bliss is probably the only one that I don't necessarily see them putting the contract on them, though I wouldn't be shocked if they did it to begin with. Now, in main honesty here, I do still feel like any one of them could technically have the contract put on them at this point in time. Though the 2 names that I kind of trend towards at this point is one being Naomi and the other one being Roxanne Perez, because you do have stories leading into potentially title matches down the line, or for somebody, maybe for Naomi to cash in on, whether she decides to cash in on a Tiffany Stratton, or if say maybe Bianca or Jay get the title, and then Naomi can cash in on them as well. So you do have little snippets there for that. Roxanne Perez would be an interesting one as well, because also she was recently in NXT and is officially been called up, though she's been kind of on and off of Raw like since January at this point in time, but she's officially part of Monday Night Raw at this point. So it would be a very interesting thing to see them put that Money in the Bank contract on somebody new. And then you also have the whole dynamic of, Finn Balor bringing in Roxanne Perez for helping out the Judgment Day. Not a full-fledged member yet, but, helping out the Judgment Day. And the kind of the bickering that has been going on between Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. So you have a lot of different things that you can play off of with that to begin with. So I'm going to actually go with Roxanne Perez on this one. I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez because I do see them potentially maybe doing that and maybe using that as like another aspect of a catalyst of splitting up the Judgment Day. I know it's been happening for like a year and a half, but maybe it actually happens at this point in time. I don't necessarily know, but it'll be interesting to see, and I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez on this one. And up next, it will be the second of the ladder matches. This is the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have LA Knight going up against Penta, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, El Grande Americano, and Seth Rollins. This one is, I think, a lot more clear-cut at this point in time, or at least it doesn't feel like a lot of particular people would probably be getting that Money in the Bank contract. I do get the whole aspect of if they want to do something kind of out of the box, you put it on El Grande Americano and have them go after the AAA Mega Championship and use it for that. But do you really go that route with this? I don't necessarily see Solo Sikoa picking up the victory in this one, mainly just because they've been kind of doing this whole thing with him and Jacob Fatu, and I feel like that's the route that they're going to be going, and that's going to end up costing Solo Sikoa in this particular match. Penta and Andrade, I don't see them necessarily putting that briefcase on them at this point. It would be interesting to maybe see it on Penta on that one as well. It would be really interesting to see it on Penta. And Andrade, I just don't necessarily. It's nice that he's in the match. It's not something that I see him picking up the victory in, especially since they haven't necessarily pushed him towards the U.S. title scene or anything like that in the most recent future, or like in the recent past, or potentially even into the future. Who knows where they're gonna push him to? So I just don't see Andrade picking up the briefcase either. Same with Penta, though he had been in the Intercontinental title scene for quite some time. I imagine he will be going back to there at some point after this match. At least that's how I feel like it will end up being. I don't necessarily know. But yeah, those four I just don't really see with the briefcase. The two names I'm really leaning towards is LA Knight and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, you have him with the big heel faction, everything going on with, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman, everything after WrestleMania. He's making mentions like, the future of that world title is in my hands, not in anybody else's. LA Knight, honestly, I could see them potentially putting it on LA Knight because he's massively over and still is, even after losing the US title and taking a few losses. He's just over with the crowd. So there's always that potential that they would put that on him. Now, just for purposes of the prediction itself, those are the two names I was mainly leaning towards. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to pick up the victory on this one. I don't necessarily know if that means he's going to be going ahead and, cashing it in on the Monday Night Raw match during the Jey Uso Gunther match, or if it's going to be something down the line to go along with it. There's always that potential there, but I think they're going to be using that Money in the Bank to be like his catalyst to getting that world title, and then kind of going from there with everything. So I'm gonna go with Seth Rollins on this one, and we'll see where everything goes from there. It will be interesting to see if they do add a fifth match on this card. Or are we going to be getting some type of segment or something like that? But that is all the matches for Money in the Bank. If you did like everything, feel free to throw a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you so wish. We will be having predictions for pretty much any of the WWE PLEs and also AEW pay-per-views as well. If I start watching a few other wrestling shows, maybe we start throwing those in there to go along with it. But until that time, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.